are here from the show floor with EsFoods. James, tell us your title because you've told me twice already and I can't remember which word goes first. Is it director or national?
I'm the national director of K-12.
Okay. James, tell us about your company, how you guys got started, yourself, and all this amazing things that we're seeing here.
All right. James Rito. I've been here 7 years next month. Um, I came to this company because they just strictly focus on K-12 sales, which is, just a passion. And for me, I love working with the directors, love working with the kids and, making sure we get them good, healthy food. And ES Foods is absolutely focused on the health and the long-term care and welfare of the kids. And so what you have at the table, a variety of things, starting on the right-hand side of the table, I think. You should have the breakfast breaks and the meal breaks, a prepackaged.
So we have what, the sunflower kernels here, Skippy, grape jelly.
So those are called meal breaks. And those are shelf-stable meals for kids, and they're used for various day parts. Largely in part, they're used for the supper program. The supper program allows kids to stay after school as long as there's an enrichment program in place and to get whatever needs they have, be it studying for just a regular test, getting, if they failed one of their standardized tests, just whatever their needs are. And sometimes it just allows for kids that can't be picked up immediately to have a place to go after school where they can get a nutritious meal. Each meal contains at least one bread grain, two meat alternates, half cup fruit, half cup vegetable, which is suited for the national program for the CACFP, which is Child and Adult Feeding Program. And you also have on there our shelf-stable breakfast breaks. Breakfast breaks is really the cornerstone of our company. It's what we started with because when you look at school districts and you look at their ADP, which is their average daily participation, what you'll find is a lunch ADP may be 60, 70, 80%. But when you look at that breakfast ADP, it's going to be down in the 20%, 18%, because kids either don't get to school in time to get breakfast. There's, a negative connotation with those that do go inside for it, or they just care to hang out somewhere else other than the cafeteria where there's more discipline.
Mostly that one, the socialization. Yes, absolutely, James.
I notice you guys have packaging for everything that comes with this, for the breakfast breaks and for the first item you talked about, right?
The meal breaks, absolutely. So,
Meal breaks, yeah.
So the breakfast breaks, as you can see, it has a little cutout in the center of the bag because we want, we use both Kellogg's and General Mills, the two top cereal brands out there. So we want it to be center of the plate. We want the kids to absolutely see what they're getting and put a high focus on it. So, and, the good thing about it is, as we said, the kids want to congregate elsewhere and socialize. With those, they're portable. So you can just take that bag to wherever the kids are. And you can meet them with it. You give them a bag, give them a milk, and they have a reimbursable meal. It makes it easy on everyone.
Can I tell you something really quick?
Indeed, please.
So when we started closing down our schools last March, we were on a buying group meeting, and I said to everyone, let's talk about the things that are going to go out of stock the fastest. And you want to know what my number one thing was?
What?
The breakfast breaks. And I called it. It was the first thing to go out of stock. So we said, get it now before they're gone. Such a great solution for curbside feeding, for on-the-go, remote. Everything is together, and that's one less thing you have to worry about. So kudos to you and your teams. And I'll tell you what, that was restocked pretty darn fast. So you guys are definitely killing it in the market, and we appreciated that piece of the puzzle being solved for us.
Outstanding. Yeah, it really came into play, and it was a tough time, because before it hit, as it was starting, we reached out to a lot of districts, but you kind of put yourself in a bad position. You're trying to make sure you're not coming across as opportunistic and trying to sell stuff because of people and their fear for it. But yet, we had a lot of districts, 2 months into it, 3 months calling and saying, hey, can we get those breakfast breaks? They're really handy. They're great for grab and go, for curbside feeding. And you tell them you're kind of running behind because, we were overcome with sales and need. And, then you just go back to your email and you forward that email that you sent them 3 months ago and say, hey, we tried to tell you. So it worked out.
Because they needed it.
And we say not panicked, but prepared. And this really helped us to prepare. So thank you.
You bet. And then as we move towards the center of the table, what you'll start finding there are some of our hot options. We commodity process. We only process cheese. And so you'll see anything from our pinwheels, which are handheld, great items. They're going to be 2 meat and 2 grain, perfect for lunch. We have 5 different varieties, pepperoni, mozzarella, a meatball, a veggie, which is a broccoli and spinach filling for those vegetarians, and also a Philly steak and cheese. They come bulk or individually wrapped. So at a time, generally during the school system, people use bulk. They want to have them in there, they're open, they put them on their tray. But during this time of the pandemic, and especially in the emergency portion of it, they needed individually wrapped items, because a lot of times instead of cooking them and giving the kids hot curbside, they were sending them home frozen. So with instructions in both Spanish and English, and the kids could take them home and heat them themselves. And so, in addition to that, we have our regular grilled cheese on like a Texas type toast. We have our ciabatta melt, which is a grilled cheese on a ciabatta bread, really a nice upscale artisan looking item.
Yeah, I've actually heard a lot about that. I've heard at least 3 or 4 people mention that in the past month. Is that one of your most popular items?
It really is. It's catching on. It's like I said, when you bring something in upscale, because everybody is playing in that same regular grilled cheese, Texas toast type of, filled. And so we decided to step up our game a little bit because, let's face it, the kids are eating at so many different venues right now and their palates are changing. It can't come with the same old thing with them. So yeah, frozen is where we have the majority of our innovation. That's where we're going. That's where we can see the most change. And we're excited about it.
Absolutely. And I would just like to say that the pinwheels, great plate coverage. And I've had the broccoli and cheese, and it's delicious.
And that's something you mentioned. That's part of what we talk about when we are going out showing customers, because it's really great plate coverage. And and you have them in the bulk, and you can get a nice crispy texture to them. They brown well, and they're delicious. And we're really, before we had that pinwheel, we had more of a hot pocket type item. Same meat, same bread, same filling. And you couldn't go to an affluent district and try to show them that product. We took all of the same things, reshaped it, gave it a more artisan look, sprinkles on top, and now we can sell it anywhere. So great addition to the lineup. And then, of course, you have one of the favorites on there, the macaroni and cheese. I know we have one where they add a little veggies to it to kind of spruce it up and give it a healthier, but it is just a staple item. You look at times like this, when you need one of those items to just make you feel good, mac and cheese is always there.
Absolutely. And it has the noodles that look very similar to a popular blue box. So I could definitely feed this to my 7-year-old.
Absolutely. And they're whole grain noodles, but you can't tell from the look of it. And it's really creamy.
You can't see
You
that
can't
that's
tell at
whole
all.
grain.
Yeah.
I could definitely trick my kid.
And so to some degree, that's kind of what we have to do to get them to eat the healthier options. And then, kind of surprise them in the end, let them know that they're eating healthier.
Absolutely, because we want them to make good choices as they grow.
Indeed, and you help them along the way.
Now, is this a new product, this ciabatta pepper jack melt? I don't think I've seen that before.
Absolutely. If you really go out and you give taste tests to kids, one of the things kids like is spice. And so we put the ciabatta, we added the pepper jack cheese to it, and it's been hugely popular. And, and it also comes in bulk and individually wrapped. It's great with a soup, great with, baked chips. So it's been hugely popular. And that's one of the things we're growing on, is what trends the kids are looking for.
And then you also have a regular ciabatta cheese melt as well. So that's just the blander flavor.
Absolutely.
So for our elementary students.
My son says, it's hot. It's flaming hot.
Which comes from those Cheetos, which are really hot, and the kids still seem to manage to eat them. So
what is that on the top left? I can't see that far. I don't have my glasses on, but what is that?
the turkey pepperoni pinwheel.
Oh, that looks good.
And that's one of the reasons, again, pre-pandemic, bulk was absolutely what they wanted because, if they were wrap, you obviously know they're coming from someplace else. But if they're bulk, you can sell them as your own. So we had a lot of
You mean pass it off like I cooked it?
Indeed. You got to do what you got to do, right?
So these bow ties, are these new breakfast bow ties?
Absolutely. That was something new brought to the lineup. And again, like the ciabatta, they come in American and they come in pepper jack. They're going to be a one meat, one grain item that, a lot of people, the way the pinwheels caught on, everybody thought, hey, can you do the same item for breakfast? But because the pinwheels are hand folded, if we hand folded the bow tie and shrank them down to one meat, one grain, we couldn't get the cost down low enough. And so we came up with the bow tie because they're a single fold item versus the 4 folds. And so, yeah, and they have been great. They're egg and cheese. And we came in with the ciabatta and the, like I said, and the bow tie and pepper jack. And the difference is when your kid eats a pepper jack ciabatta, they're just getting bread with lots of cheese. But when you get it with a bow tie, now you're getting the egg and the cheese and the bread. So the flavor profile is not nearly as intense. So even the little guys can eat the bow ties without any issues whatsoever.
And they're super cute. Again, I can pass them off like I made them. James, what I love about your company is that you do cheese well. And that, I mean, this ciabatta pepper jack, I can just see flying out of my middle schools. It's a great product. It's brand new. And how long has that been on the market? The cheese melts and the bow ties?
They've both been on for about, this will be the second full school year for the American version, and the pepper jack, it's came about mid-year, so about a year for the pepper jack variety. But it's just the need, again, when you're looking at the breakfast category and the lack of participation, just really trying to go out there and do what you can to reach kids, because it's been said for years and years and years, if, a kid has a satisfied stomach and, the best meal of the day to get your day started is to put something on your stomach. Because you think about it, if you go to school on an empty stomach and now you're going and you're trying to sit, and you're trying to learn, you're trying to focus, and you're starting to get hungry and there's 3 or 4 hours before lunchtime, the kids are really at a disadvantage. So as much as we can do, as much innovation as we can bring to the table, we're trying to bring to that breakfast category to make sure the kids can get something to start their day.
Yeah, that's great. So, James, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that? How could they get some samples?
You know what? They just reach out. They go to the website, www.esfood.com. It'll have a list of all of our names and the areas that we cover. But more than anything, it's a main site where you can just put in information on there. And Amy, who's our VP of marketing, she will take that message and she'll send it out to the appropriate person, and we'll get them samples right away. We'll try to dig down a little bit to see what their needs are, to see how we best suit them, to see, what day parts we best fit in, make sure they understand how they fit into the USDA programs, to make sure, because especially when it comes to the items in a bag, they're going to be a fully reimbursable meal as is in most cases. But sometimes people look at the meal breaks and think, well, man, this is great for lunch. But, with lunch on the USDA program, the National School Lunch Program, you have to have subcategories, red, green, all type of vegetables. So we want to make sure they understand what they're getting to make sure we get the right item in their hands. But yeah, just reach out through the website and just call us. We'll get right back to you. We'll get you what you need and get you on your way.
Well, that is great, James. Thank you so much for all the awesome information. Thank you for these samples I'm going to eat later. And then thank you for being here joining us from the show floor.
You bet. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it. Have a great day.